The content of this podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended as, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional medical advice.
Hello, this is Karen Nickel, family nurse practitioner, and you are listening to Itchy and Bitchy, a podcast that provides answers to your many unanswered health questions. I've spoken to many of you listeners out there about the comprehensive online course I have created to help address the symptoms that so many women experience in their 30s, 40s, and early 50s. It has been an absolute joy to get to know some of you wonderful people. I would love to have the opportunity to talk to more of you about the course to see if it is a right fit for you. There is a link on our website, itchyandbitchy.com, and on our Facebook page, I and B Podcast, where you can schedule an appointment for a Zoom call with me. Again, this is a Zoom call with me. It is not a webinar. When you make an appointment, I will be sitting at my desk waiting for you to join the one-on-one Zoom call. Today, I am going to talk to you about something called histamine intolerance. Many of you might know the word, obviously, antihistamine, like a Zyrtec or Allegra, Claritin. I'm going to talk to you about histamine levels in the body. Histamine is a chemical that sends messages to the brain, which signals the release of stomach acid for digestion and is released as part of the immune system's response to an injury or allergic reaction. An intolerance to this chemical happens when the body cannot break down enough of it in the intestines, causing histamine levels in the blood to rise. We don't break it down in our gut, so the levels in the blood will rise. This typically results from having low levels of an enzyme that breaks down histamine. Genetic predispositions are the most likely cause of having low levels of these important enzymes. And one of those enzymes is diamine oxidase, abbreviated DAO. Diamine oxidase, DAO. It is the main enzyme that breaks down digested histamine. It is the predominant cause of histamine intolerance when we have low DAO levels. Another enzyme that breaks down histamine in the body is called histamine N-methyltransferase. Histamine N-methyltransferase, and that's abbreviated HNMT, which is most active in the central nervous system, meaning the brain and the spinal cord. So when there is insufficient HNMT made by the body, brain receptors are impacted, so there may be an increase in the symptoms of histamine intolerance that can include neurologic symptoms like heightened anxiety, mood swings, and even Parkinson's disease. I've talked to you in the past many times about MTHFR genetic mutations, and it is believed that around 50% of people have the MTHFR genetic mutation. And MTHFR, which is methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, is an important enzyme that is of critical importance in the converting of folic acid into another essential compound that is needed for a process called methylation. Our B vitamins must be methylated in order for our body to use them. If your methylation status is not appropriate due to an MTHFR genetic mutation, it can seriously impact histamine levels by causing mast cells, which line your respiratory tract, mast cells, to release more histamine into the body. The good news is that supplementing with L-methylfolate, which is a methylated folic acid or methylated folate, L-methylfolate, can positively influence the process needed to achieve histamine balance. According to the literature, histamine intolerance is relatively rare, affecting about 1 to 3% of the global population. However, a person or their doctor may not recognize it and may mistake it for a food allergy or a gastrointestinal disorder. Diagnosis can be tricky because there are many symptoms that affect different systems in the body. And these symptoms can include diarrhea, headaches, bloating, abdominal pain, nausea, flushing, especially in the head and chest, a congested nose, runny nose, itchy nose, red, itchy, or watery eyes, dizziness, heart palpitations, and some of the less common symptoms include low blood pressure, narrowing of our airways, which we call bronchospasms, and shock. After this break, I will share with you what impacts DAO levels and histamine levels and what to do about it. Be right back. Green Chef is a CCOF certified meal kit company. Green Chef makes eating well easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, including keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just a more balanced meal option. I have shared this information with you before, but I want to stress this again. If you feel you need some guidance on how to implement clean eating into your life, remember that every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitian. Please do not pass up this incredible added value. Most of us are constantly on the go, so rather than grabbing high sugar, high salt, high fat snacks and caffeinated drinks that do not feed your body, try Green Chef's functional snacks and clean beverages that will provide a better way to give you energy during busy fall days. Honey, Green Chef has it all. My husband and I are wanting to include more plant-based meals in our diet, and Green Chef has made it easy to do that because they have so many delicious choices. Tonight, we will be enjoying roasted chickpea and carrot bowls. It includes so many of my favorite foods like chickpeas, pistachios, carrots, and feta cheese. Go to greenchef.com/60itchy and use code 60itchy to get 60% off plus free shipping. Go to greenchef.com/60itchy and use code 60itchy to get 60% off plus free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Welcome back. And when the body does not break down histamine from foods, histamine may leak through the intestinal lining and enter the bloodstream. Sort of a leaky gut kind of deal. And this can trigger an immune response. So when we don't break it down, we get a lot of histamine in the gut. It leaks out of our gut into the bloodstream, and then we have a boatload of histamine in the bloodstream. Many prescription drugs can interfere with levels of DAO and HNMT in the body. So if it interferes with those levels, we don't have the enzymes needed to break down histamines. Some examples of these drugs include antibiotics, antidepressants, gastrointestinal medicines, antiarrhythmics, which treat heart rhythm irregularities, antihypertensives, which treat high blood pressure, muscle relaxants, narcotics, local anesthetics, and meanwhile, over-the-counter and prescription non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, can affect how the body metabolizes histamine. So some examples of these drugs, known as NSAIDs, include ibuprofen, which can be branded Advil or Motrin, aspirin, indomethacin, diclofenac. In addition, high alcohol consumption and health conditions that damage the lining of the gut can lead to histamine intolerance. That's why I say over and over and over in this podcast how important it is to maintain a healthy gut, to heal your gut and maintain a healthy gut. Almost all foods and drinks contain some histamine. The amount usually increases as the food ages, spoils, or ferments. Hopefully you're not eating a lot of spoiled food. Some foods and drinks also contain compounds that help release histamine in the body or block the production or effectiveness of the enzymes DAO and HNMT. Some foods and drinks that are rich in histamine that you probably want to avoid are alcohol, aged cheeses, canned, pickled, and fermented foods such as sauerkraut, smoked products such as sausage, ham, bacon, or salami, spinach, eggplant, ketchup, vinegar, canned fish such as mackerel or tuna, And foods that may trigger the release of histamine include most citrus fruits, cocoa and chocolate, tomatoes, egg whites, fish, and peanuts. Foods that may interfere with DAO and HNMT levels or actions include alcohol, energy drinks, green tea, black tea, mate tea, and foods that are low in histamines include fresh meats, fresh fish, milk substitutes, cooked egg yolks, most fresh vegetables except tomatoes and eggplants, most fresh fruits except citrus fruits, strawberries, and cherries, and fresh pasteurized milk and milk products. So, I've listed a lot of foods here. And so in terms of things like spinach and eggplant, I'm not saying never, never, never eat those, but just be aware of the histamines that they contain. And if you have histamine intolerance symptoms, eat those foods sparingly. It's also important to know that several vitamins and minerals are necessary for DAO to function properly. Some can even increase DAO activity. For this reason, people with histamine intolerance may benefit from consuming more foods and drinks rich in these nutrients. A person may also benefit from taking these supplements. So the vitamins and minerals that may benefit people with histamine intolerance include vitamin B6, which I recommend taking in the form of P5P, vitamin C, copper, magnesium, I recommend magnesium glycinate, zinc, calcium, vitamin B1, and vitamin B12. The B vitamins can be very important, especially in someone with MTHFR genetic mutations, because in those people, B vitamins are not converted to methylated B vitamins, which is the form our body can use. So when supplementing B vitamins, it's key to use methylated supplement forms like methyl B12. A person's DAO levels and enzyme activity levels can be checked with a blood test, but at the same time, your provider may also want to check other causes like celiac disease. So tests for those kinds of things can also be done at that time. DAO supplementation can help, and DAO supplements do exist. There aren't many studies, but the studies have shown benefit and good safety profile of this supplement. A DAO supplement study in 2023, super recent, obviously, this year, 7 different porcine-derived and 3 different plant-based DAO supplements were tested for enzymatic activity. The brands named DAO Food and DAO Food Plus had significantly higher enzymatic activity than the other 5 porcine-derived supplements tested. And when comparing the plant-based DAO supplements, only one of the 3 had any enzymatic activity, and that was the same brand, DAO Food Veg. So same company, but this is a plant-based supplement. And the DAO Food Veg had slightly lower activity compared to the porcine-derived DAO food supplement, but still had good activity. And DAO food products, again, that's the brand, DAO Food. DAO food products can be purchased on several websites, including, of course, Amazon.com. Surprise! The normal recommended dose is 1 cap or tab before each meal. And you can take up to 3 caps or tabs prior to a meal that you know is rich in histamine. So say, for example, you're going to eat a meal with spinach, eggplant, and smoked meat. You could take up to 3 caps or tabs of DAO to help address the higher levels of histamines in the food. When taking a supplement from the company DAO Food, the enzyme diamine oxidase remains active for 4 to 5 hours after taking the supplement. So if you are experiencing the symptoms I named earlier, especially if you know you have an MTHFR genetic mutation, consider taking measures to reduce histamine levels by removing histamine-rich foods from your diet, adding the recommended vitamin supplements that I mentioned, using methylated B vitamins, and starting DAO supplementation using products I listed that have been tested for enzymatic activity. I hope this podcast episode on histamine intolerance has been enlightening for you, making you aware of the problem, the symptoms, and the products you can use and diet you can change to help reduce your histamine levels. Many thanks to Green Chef for sponsoring today's episode. I encourage you to visit our Facebook page, IMB Podcast, where you can leave comments or questions for me. Again, our website is itchyandbitchy.com, and there are blogs on the site with some of our subjects available for you to read. I updated a couple just a few days ago. On our Facebook page and website, we have the information about how to schedule an appointment with me. Again, this is not a webinar, so that we can chat about how my perimenopause course can help you if you are going through this phase in life. As always, thanks to Forrest Wenzel, our producer and composer of our theme music, and the person who does all the behind-the-scenes work that makes this podcast possible. Thank you so much, Forrest. Check out his album called An Awful Lot. You can go to wherever you stream your favorite music to listen, and if you don't know where to stream music, you can find it on Apple Music or Spotify. Remember, your health is in your hands.